First off, let me start with our speak. Gina, I'm so glad to see you. And please come up here so we can introduce your speech together before we time you.
Oh.
I forgot my book. But this is a rerun. I do this every year for Christmas. So just
okay. We'll squeeze it.
It's an interpreter reading room. Interpreter reading.
So Gina, let's have a quick interview here.
Okay. Oh, you interviewed?
Yes, about the speech.
Okay. I'm doing a speech on a little place in Italy called San Marino.
San Marino.
Which is a wonderful place that many people have not visited, so I want to share it.
Okay. Is it where the merino wool from? The sheep. I keep saying
The sheep.
The merino.
I have no recollection of sheep. Nor have I read about sheep in San Marino.
Okay. So now you have to go back and let us know. Welcome, Gina. And we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters. I want to take just a few minutes today to share with you a wonderful experience that I've had on 2 occasions. Several years ago, I ran into an individual who ran his own business. And his business was to take teams who wanted to do a travel and compete with teams in other countries to other countries. It was a team travel business. And he was based out of Savannah, Georgia. We hit it off, and I expressed an interest in travel. He expressed a need from time to time for someone to represent his company on these trips. So on 2 occasions, I had the wonderful opportunity to spend about 8 or 9 days in Italy, and both of those times I traveled with college volleyball teams. And my job was simply to make sure that things ran smoothly, to communicate with our tour guide, and if we had any things that came up, to try to solve those problems on behalf of his company. Well, on both of these trips, we were able to visit a small country in Italy named San Marino. Now, I ask you, how many of you have heard of San Marino? Has anybody else heard? I knew there had to be one. Most people know nothing about San Marino. And every time I mention it, people go, no, I've never heard of that. And for me, it is a wonderful little day trip on the side that you can go to. It is in the central northern part of Italy, near the small town of Rimini. If you catch San Marino on a clear day, you might be able to see the Adriatic Sea. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of history about San Marino and send you around a few of the photographs that I took at the top of Mount Tano, and you will have to forgive me if I mispronounce a few words. But San Marino actually also has the bust of one of our presidents in its museum, Abraham Lincoln. And the reason it has the bust of Abraham Lincoln in the museum is that Abraham Lincoln saw it as one of the most true democracies during his time. And as it plays out, it's still a democracy.
Okay.
The legend has it that San Marino was founded by Saint Marinus, who was from the country, a small island on the coast of the country we now call Croatia. He came to be on Mount Titanus because he wanted to create a Christian community that was away from the auspices of persecution for their belief. And so that is kind of how San Marino got started. It actually was founded as a republic on September the 3rd in 301. And I think one of the neat things for me is that it's a beautiful place, high on top of the mountain. And you can oversee, as you will see in the pictures that I'm sending around, you can oversee some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. And it's a place that no one should miss if they have the opportunity to go to Italy, because it is so beautiful and quaint. And they do have a lot of tourism in Italy. But I think the neat thing about this country is that it sits where it does and has basically remained mostly a republic throughout and a democracy throughout its entire lifetime. It has about 30,000 people who are citizens of this country, 1,000 of which are foreigners, most of which are Italians, as we speak. But when it was founded, I think the thing that happened when it was founded and why it developed in a very different way was because whenever they began to do their government, instead of having a saint as its head, they entrusted the government to the heads of families. And that is how it became and evolved into a democracy. Its language is basically, as you would guess, Italian. Its predominant religion is, as you might guess, Roman Catholic. It is also known for its need for peace and being very forgiving of people. It is a country who has tried to stay away from war as much as possible. It has taken in refugees many, many times. So it is known as a place of peace. It also has one of the smallest military forces in the world. Very, very small. It somehow escaped Napoleon. Whenever Napoleon was on his rampage, one of the regents of the country befriended Napoleon. And Napoleon offered them the opportunity to expand their borders if they should want. But they chose not to. And the reason they chose not to was for fear that at some point in time, if the powers that be changed, there might become more controversy over that space, and they just didn't want that. So they chose not to take it. But as you can see from the pictures, most of it built, the castles that you see, there are 3 of them, are built on the top of a mountain, of which you can see around all 3 sides. And the countryside is absolutely lovely, and the people are absolutely lovely. And so I always want to share a little bit about San Marino with people so that hopefully if you make a trip to Italy, you'll take a day out and go and visit the country. If you go there and you decide that you want to become a citizen, it will take you about 30 years. So you're going to have to live there a long time if you decide you want to become a citizen and stay.